attorney on retainer, and then allowing all the boards that require legal services to tap into that one as well. So we would pay a part of that legal fee. Whatever it is that the city's gonna pay, then they would charge FEC X amount, the 4A X amount, or whomever else needs it.
But I think, we really need an attorney that's familiar with municipality laws.
Right. We've always used a local attorney, but that can be changed.
When will the city be making the decision on that?
Mr. Miller, I spoke with him today, and he said that's something they're considering. They didn't say when. And I checked with the city manager on that also, and he said that is under debate and discussion right now. Because they're under a big bill for legal fees, so they're trying to see how they can minimize that.
Okay.
But I told him at that point then that
we need
come back to the board, and then the board decides how the board's gonna play with him on that.
We'll see if it would be a conflict of interest too, because sometimes, yeah, anyway, okay, continue on.
And then the lease is $7,200, that's what we pay. $600 a month for the office space that we use, and I believe we're the only ones paying, of the city entities that we pay lease on the land or the space that we use. That covers all the building.
Okay.
On marketing and promotion, we allocated $15,000, and again, with the exception of the websites, we do need to do some work on the websites. Currently, our webmaster is photographed by Mr. Jim Miller and Mrs. Miller. We have two websites that we maintain. One is the FEDC website, and the other one is the Shop in Floresville website. The FEDC website is just a standard EDC website that lists all the projects, the things that we're doing, contact information on the city. The Shop in Floresville website is a website that discussion with Mr. Miller and Mrs. Miller about 3 years or so ago, and I was looking for ways that we could help the retailers in the city have more prominence and have presence on the web. A lot of them did not have computers, especially like the small restaurants, and really had no presence on any kind of web. So I made a recommendation to the board that we allocate funds to create a website to increase shopping in Floresville.
Well, we spoke about this a little earlier, but what's the chamber skin in the game here?
I believe that the chamber should run a website like the Shop in Floresville.
Is there duplication?
No, they don't have anything like this.
Well, maybe we should propose to them to think about that.
I have, and I mentioned that to Mr. Miller today. I had mentioned it when Jerry Kutzer came in, and he and I were always talking, and I said this would be a great time of changing people on the board, on the chamber board of directors to take on a project like this. And this is, a lot of things that we've done in promotion have been chamber-related activities, but the chamber wasn't doing them. So, you know, I recommended to the board, this is something that I thought the community needed, the retailers needed, especially the smaller ones. And in discussions with Mr. Miller, you know, I hired him to be our webmaster when he told me you could do that. He takes photographs for us, he makes signs and posters for us. So I saw no problem in working up something like this. But in the discussions now is that I've always believed this is a chamber function. Lighting the courthouse, I always believed was a chamber function. Fireworks displays, chamber function. A lot of things that we did them because no one else was doing it. And again, you know, the board can change the way it looks and does things, but $15,000, if you look at promotional materials and signs, you can eliminate that $10,000 right away. We got to pay for the website, whether it's Mr. Miller or someone else doing it for us. And our websites need updating. We need to change the names on there.
Yes,
we need to, some businesses that are, you know, businesses come and go all the time. But we need to make some changes and bring the website up to date, add a lot more of this Eagle Ford play. We got a lot more businesses in Floresville that pertain to Eagle Ford, so I think we need to put that on the site and make the presence of Eagle Ford Shell more prominent on our website. But again, these are things I believe you need, both websites. The chamber, if they can be convinced to take over Floresville, that would be a good thing. Promotional materials and signs is basically things that we were using to promote the events that we used to have, to make signs, you know, the welcome signs is another, I believe, chamber thing that could be done. The welcome signs coming into the city, improvement of the signs. We need more signs, especially coming in from the east side, from Stockdale. We need signs from the south side, and the signs that we have on the west side need to be improved. Signs on the north side is as you come into Floresville, and you're already in Floresville. We used to have a sign on 37 right by the Brook City base area, you know, those signs that are on the right side as you go in. But that was an expensive proposition, you know, we were paying $1,500 a month for that sign. And it was a welcome to Floresville, you know, shop in Floresville type of sign. I thought it was just a little too much, and it wasn't giving us any more benefit than not having it.
You mentioned that Drew design at one point in time. What does he do?
I'm sorry?
Drew?
Drew Design was our webmaster.
Oh, but now.
When I started here, we didn't have a website, or, you know.
But now it's Mr. Miller?
Yes. When I started here, and I was working with the high school, with the tech center, and they told me that they had kids that could design a website for us and do it at a good price. And the first website we had was done by Richard Stapleton, a young senior, eventually went off to Texas A&M. He designed a website that rivaled what Drew Design or Mr. Miller or anybody else can do. But then as we went along, we were upgrading, adding more things. He wasn't capable to come back and help me anymore. So then I went with Drew Design, which is what the city had. And then when Jim Miller came to town and had his Photoshop, and I was using him to make signs for me, he told me they had the capability to do websites. So he and I and Donna Miller, we got together and reviewed the FEC website. And we came up with a new look to the website. And at the same time, we started talking, what can we do to help retailers and help the small businesses, especially downtown? Because they always seem to be in need of more assistance in terms of marketing. So we came up with that Shop in Floresville website.
Well, the website, getting the websites done is not that big a deal, it's maintaining them.
I understand, and that is a big deal.
Like tonight's meeting was wrong, and that's pretty important, because you're supposed to publicize to the public. Right.
Okay.
What was wrong?
Okay.
7 o'clock.
On the debt service, that's what we pay in terms of the loans that we have. On the Wells Fargo loan, $58,000 principal and interest per year. The interlocal agreement funds with the city, $114,019. On that particular loan, the 4A and the city refinanced some aspects of it, but we held firm, our part was not going to be refinanced, it wasn't refinanced, so it stayed the same. So that's what we pay, and I've got the documents here, I was going to give them to Jason.
Is this,
How long do we have to pay that?
Yeah. I'm sorry, sir?
How long do we have to pay that?
25 years on the, we borrowed $1.5 million to do the projects that we're working on.
That is, if I remember correct, that's almost like a cost overrun that,
On the civic center?
event center.
Yes, sir.
So they basically cost overrun, they came to FEDC, had to step up, do that cost overrun, do it. That's what that.
Some of the infrastructure that was done.
And that's the 114,000?
That's the payment that we make to our loan.
annually?
And
58,000 Wells Fargo loan, that's secured by the industrial park, isn't it?
Yes.
So as you sell a lot out there, you have the relief clause, you have to pay to them in addition to this. So there's 450,000 sell these 2 lots out there. Some of that actually has to go to the bank also.
Yeah, they've not required us to do that. You know.
So what do we do?
Say again?
what do we do?
Now you
What
were
do you-
paid off.
Well, when the money comes in, we were using that money, you know, to build the roads and do the infrastructure, do the property out there. You know,
What's the balance on that loan about? Just approximately, it's all right, you don't have to do that.
well, it's $100 and. It's $185,571.
I can't imagine that you could need to sell the dirt and not pay down. Will you do that?
The FEDC's not gonna default, they can't default. Didn't take a good business on that part with others, but,
So it's 25 years on that particular roof.
okay,
And
all right, thank you. Next,
Okay, then, $123,000 to the Civic Center due to the city from fiscal year 11. And the city came to the FEDC requesting funds to assist with infrastructure at the Civic Center. And that was the amount, and that's already been paid.
and that's done,
It's done,
no more.
no more.
hope not.
Well, but again, you know, city
Taking
council, you know,
Taking all of that,
they're the governing body. Then the last amount is the sports facility enhancement and expansion, and that was the amount that the FEC allocated back in fiscal year 12 to cover the cost of fixing the problems that we have with the sports facilities at the River Park.
It wasn't ever intended like they want to build a sports complex?
I'm sorry, sir.
They'll finance that?
Well, what they were requesting was that the whole amount go to building a sports complex.
That's what this was for.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, sir?
That's what this amount was for.
Part of it, yes.
Okay.
And what the city
That's-
wanted was to take the whole amount, borrow anywhere from 1.8 million to 2.1 million to build the sports complex. What the FEC had agreed to do was to expand and enhance the current facilities that we have. The enhancement was to fix the drainage problems at the river park, which is floating away into the river. So that was the issue, and then the way that they were negotiating the loans, it's not something that we had agreed to do. I recommended to the board that, you know, we relook all this issue with the loans, and until we were satisfied that the loan that we were gonna get would meet the standards that we wanted, and not to go into any actual signing of loan documents, etc. But at this point, we have not taken any further steps since about maybe the latter part of August. That's when we stopped talking, at least the FEC did, to the loan company. The city council, on the other hand, the old city council, was still moving forward with that, but we had said that we're not gonna take any loans out until the boards were satisfied that it could be according to the standards that we wanted. Once the new city council the new members of the city council were elected, I knew and felt confident that boards were gonna change. So at that point, I recommended to the board not to take any further action on this matter until the new board was installed. So we've not taken any matter, and I've advised the company that we do have new leadership, and I've not gotten any guidance as to how we proceed, so everything is stopped right now. And of course, the new council has not given us any direction on that either, and I doubt that they will, other than to stop the
Well, I
project.
think the direction is live within our means.
That's right.
I'm sorry?
Live within our means.
Oh, of
That's the
course, I
direction.
agree with you.
So, we got a lot.
Think we'll get any input from the new parks,
I'm sorry?
any input from the new parks and recreation committee? They have some new members, they could come to us if they, what they recommend.
Right.
You haven't heard from them right at all?
Well, the only thing they were promoting was to build, you know, basically a brand-new sports facility that encompassed new baseball fields, 4 baseball fields, I believe, some of the different plans that I saw, I had like 4 baseball fields, a couple of soccer fields, regulation size fields.
I mean, the new,
There's a
board.
new parks.
They have the
and
new,
recreation
one of the new people
Committee, I believe.
saying.
So we might be getting future guidance
Right,
from the new
right.
group as to how they want to improve some of their parks.
Yeah, because I understand they're gonna reinvigorate the Parks Foundation.
Yes.
And the mayor, I think that's gonna be one of her initiatives, and they wanna see if the Sports Foundation gets out and does what a Sports Foundation does, and just try to raise funds and try to work with the city and other entities to create more fields. We do have some preliminary areas that have been designated that the FEDC or the city could work on. And then I presented those plans to the mayor. Talked about them back in December, Cantarana Park, and also the property that McKinsey, Northcrest Park, you know, we have 12 acres out there. The land is flat. It could be easily converted into soccer fields and fields for the Wildcat teams, the small football teams, where you would have a 12-acre site for soccer and the Wildcat teams off the highway. It's not on this, you know, Highway 97. It's off Business Loop 181, and it's an area that would serve the community well. There's some issues with right-of-ways to extend Sutherland Springs Road to the site. It used to be there, but then through the years, either the city didn't mind the right-of-way, or, you know, they lost the rights to the right-of-way, I guess. I presented this problem to the city attorneys. Mr. Rosenberg understands this. The city manager, this is the 3rd city manager that I've discussed this with. And they've always assured me that something was gonna be done. Mr. Jocelyn has said that they're gonna put that on a priority and see if they can open up Sutherland Springs Road, extend it to that 12-acre site. If they do that, then there is the capability then to build that park back there. There are sewer lines. There's a sewer line that goes right through that park. There used to be a road back there. Extended from, what is it, First Street, Mayor? Right by the Villarreal family,
Yeah.
and it comes all the way into that side, but the road came all the way back out to Business Loop 181. But there, we had developed some plans for that. I was also at this time instructed by the board to come up with ideas. How do we improve and enhance the parks that we currently have? The main one is the city park, because that has a major problem on it, and it's getting worse. But at this point,
Jason made a point last time,
right,
sometimes you just can't fix it.
well, the Sarah engineers seem to believe that it can be fixed, but then again, that's, you know. But at this point, it's up to the board to decide what it is that the board's gonna do.
Do you have anything else to add with, or any questions on the budget before we move on? I don't think, this budget's already been approved as presented, I would assume, by
Right.
prior FEDC.
And the city
So I don't
council-
think there's any consideration in action we have
No.
to take on at this time for informational purposes.
What can take place can be that we can amend it.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
and I think more will come about once we get to the item
Yeah.
number 6.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If there's nothing else, we're gonna move on to item 3. And they talked about the Rancho Grande Business Park, that we talked about a little bit earlier. And we just need to set a date for a special meeting, because that's a whole set of
Right.
issues and problems itself that we're finding out. So I don't know if there's any date that we wanna try to set that, in 2 weeks, meet before that, instead of a regular one. So would we want to try to meet, I believe that would be January 23rd is a holiday, is it not?
Yeah, right.
So would we want to try to go with, the
Tuesday?
January 24th?
I'll be in Austin.
I'll be in Austin.
Do we want to go, the prior week? Or we want to move it, continue to move it back to the, when will y'all be returning board members?
Following week, following Monday.
Do we want to,
I'll be in DC.
What about next,
on
what
Monday.
about next Monday?
The 21st is a holiday.
21st is,
Yeah, that's an old calendar.
that's an old calendar.
Yeah, the 21st is,
Martin
I
Luther
just thought,
King.
this,
Martin
this
Luther
kind of thought.
I'm just reading what calendar says.
City can't afford to use call.
yeah, June from today is the 21st.
Scott, you're pretty handy.
So, I have a preference on dates. Anybody having requests on dates?
The only time I have, the 21st through the 29th, I'm out, because I'm
About
out
the same
of
time
town.
on that.
So we want to try to do it next week then?
It has to be,
Next week would be fine.
We gonna do it Monday next week, Tuesday next week?
Monday would work for me.
Monday's better for me than Tuesday.
Yeah.
Monday.
Okay, that is Monday, the 14th, 6:30. Jesse, can we ask and see if Larry Hyman, I'm
Yeah,
saying Larry
he come
Hyman
in.
will be here because he's the
Right.
engineer that was in charge of that. We have questions, we can ask the engineer, he can give us directions, because just like you're talking about on retention pond, he said we don't have to do it now,
Right,
but we gotta get it done.
understand.
And so, what is our budget gonna allow, if we don't fit our budget, priority, different things like that. So, let's ask Mr. Larry Hyman if he's available to please attend that day.
Will do. Now, do we need to take a vote to establish that date, or?
I think that if we're gonna have set that as the next meeting, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we schedule the 14th for a special meeting to discuss Rancho Grande Business Park and the status of the project as a whole.
And, have a second
Second.
by Mike Curry, actually.
Go ahead.
So, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, passes. 4, overview of new projects that require FEDC action. Now, let me ask this as a question. And I apologize if it, I saw this on the agenda and all, but it talked about an overview. We have not come here with any specific project in mind to do action on a specific project. So, for the Open Meetings Record Act, I'm of the opinion we may not, we can review them, but I don't know, strictly as an overview, but I don't think you can make take action on that project at this point in time.
If I may be allowed to go in the office and get that.
You may.
Because they have to be specifically.
I think at this point, the way the Open Records Act, if it's general enough and public can tell what we're discussing, it would be fine. But when we're discussing something of this nature specifically, you might want to have it as a specific action item
This
to
is just a
make sure.
list of things.
That's
not
correct.
a general discussion.
So we're gonna be doing an overview.
Right.
Is there a specific project that you're thinking of?
It reads overview of new projects that will require FED board action in the near future. So we're not gonna be doing,
Mr. Vice President, can we take a quick 5-minute
you sure,
break?
man?
All right.
And we're at 21-0 Alabama.
Yeah, take this off.
Wow.
What's the score?
21-0 Bama.
We're taking a quick break. I think we needed that we take a break. I think we just took it off.
I that we take a break and then take off. After approximately 3-minute break, we have reconvened at 8:45. We're at item number 4, overview of new products that will require FDC board action in the near future.
When I've given you this, and again, I presented this back in the first meeting we had in December, these are things that people have approached us or come to us, and I'll just go through them. On the brownstone apartments, but I think they had come to us and requested in a meeting with myself and the city manager, but I believe this action has already been taken by the city council, and they voted to table it, not to go any further right now. There are some issues as to, then this was to build apartments up on the highway, 181, next to where the Randolph Brooks is. There's about a 5 or 6 acre tract up there, and this particular company was gonna put in a bid to the state to get tax credits to help build those apartments. What they were looking for was participation from the city and the FEDC, and the range of participation was basically, they were gonna request a $77,000 loan from the FEDC or the city. At that point, I said, you know, and the loan could be either in the form of a loan or a combination of infrastructure improvements made within 1/4 mile of the project. And then at the point I put there, and also in that 1/4 mile of the project, if you look further north, that's where the McCoy is gonna be, but I believe that's further than a 1/4 mile. So it may or may not apply in this instance. But at the time, I said the city council may ask the FDC to participate in this project. The mayor was present when the presentation was made, and it appeared she may be willing to support something like this, but not, I believe at this point, it was brought to the city council. They made, the brownstone apartments came and presented a briefing to the council, and I believe the council tabled the action. They took no further
Was this
action.
the one that was section 8?
It would include it because it is tax credit, and it's funded by the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs and a federal HUD program. It would include X amount of Section 8 and other, you know.
Military correct, affordable housing.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's quite a few different variations. of
it's
those
similar
kinds
to
of
what
apartments.
the Highland Oaks apartments are, next to the little motel up there on the road. The Wilson County Community Health Center, which is run by the Atascosa Health Center in Pleasanton, and they're responsible for, I think, a 5-county area. But they're looking to expand and build a new building. They have submitted a letter that I gave you all a copy before that says that they would like to come and make a presentation to the board and seek participation from the board. Where they want to build this building is behind where the Texas Health and Human Services building is being built right now at the Veterans Park, next to the Texas Veterans Nursing Home. And looking to get support from the FEDC along those lines. The mayor's she's been to a meeting on this as the city manager. But again, I told them at the time, we've got new leadership, and it would be recommended, if the board decided to do anything, invite them to a meeting and make a formal presentation to the board. The Executive Inn and Suites, y'all asked earlier, the owner came to see me about FEDC participation in the completion of the retention pond in front of the property. I said that we would need more information on this. He said he would submit a letter to the board and requesting FEDC support. And this was before Christmas. I've not received anything on that. In fact, it was in December, right after Thanksgiving, I didn't see.
Jesse, when these hotels book, what, for a month or 2 months or 3 months at a time, these
If it goes over 30 days, they don't collect hotel motel
Yeah,
tax.
so we don't get it.
I'm sorry?
So we don't get it, we don't
The
get
city
anything.
doesn't get
We
any
don't
hotel
benefit
motel
from
tax.
that.
If it's 30 consecutive days, they can't charge hotel motel tax. what's been happening here in Floresville is that, that has not been the case here, because the companies rent for like 20 days or, 20, 25 days, or they don't rent on weekends, because they don't want to have the rooms empty and paying for them, so they'll rent and pay the extra charge. But if it's rented over beyond 30 days, at the 30-day point, that's when it stops collecting hotel motel tax.
My understanding is that the Best Western, the one next door to the Best Western,
I'm sorry?
the one next to the Best
Yeah,
Western.
the Eagle Ford.
Eagle Ford,
Right.
the man supposedly leased it or whatever for 5 years,
And I don't know if he's got all the rooms leased out on a long-term basis. I don't think they have a 5-year lease. Some depends on the number of rooms that the companies want. But that is an option. It's a guaranteed income for the hotel if they can do that. But the city doesn't collect.
We don't collect.
And every city.
Did we help that one?
No.
No? Okay.
On the Eagle Ford Inn, yes, we extended the water line to them. They didn't have a water line on that side. They had sewer, but they didn't have water. All of the cities in the Eagle Ford shale area are facing the same situation. And some cities are worse than others because the closer you get to where the actual play is, a lot of these companies are booking hotels all at once and taking them for a long term. So that is an
state
option.
law with the hotel tax too, is it not?
No, they don't pay.
But that's a state law, not a city law.
It's a state law.
Yeah, state law.
It's a state law and the city can vote it. So the state allows you to collect. Okay, on the Hughes property, and since we started working with the Hughes family on the Walmart, they're looking to develop the remainder of the property. I presented some information to you all at the beginning of December. They have come to the city manager and myself and talked about what they want to do. They presented a plan to us. I briefed the board before and I explained that this could be something that they would be asking for participation. Keep in mind, already we laid down the sewer line and we laid down the water line at the cost of about $450,000. So my way of thinking, the participation that the FTC has done on this property is close to $500,000.
Yeah, that's pretty substantial.
But they do have a plan and they're the ones that are working like to bring in the Murphy's gas station, the Tiger Sports Center, which is being built next to the Murphy station. And that's basically, they're gonna sell the sporting goods equipment to high school teams, all the little leagues that we have. It's gonna be a smaller size sporting goods store. But again, this is something that the Hughes family will probably come before either the city council or FEDC looking for some type of support in the future. Whitten property is to the south, and basically McCoy Lumber, and we've already committed to extending the sewer lines to them. But they have other plans, and they're going to try to develop some more of the property that they have, either in terms of another retail store or a restaurant. And what they have told us is basically they're looking to see if they can bring in a restaurant adjacent to where the McCoy building's going to be. Once the infrastructure's on that side of the highway, then it makes that property a lot more amenable for development. And I believe the the Whitten family then can sell the remaining pieces of land that they own and look to bring in more development. No one's come forward yet requesting any kind of assistance. The fact that we're putting in the sewer line across the highway, water's being provided by the water company. That's a big improvement. There is no sewer line. Along that part of US 181 on the eastern side, the McDonald's is going to build a brand new building. Randolph Brooks is going to build a bigger branch. And then with the fact that we've installed the water lines and sewer lines, they can be extended. The sewer line can be extended from that side. Both McCoy, McDonald's, and the Randolph Brooks are asking about County Road 301. It is a county road, and I believe it's in I'm trying to think, number 3, is that the Lavernia or from Stockton? Wiley?
Morales is 3, and 2 would be.
File.
File.
No, it's two.
Albert is on this other side, so. One.
And we did work with Commissioner Donner's Precinct 1, City, FEDC, and the Walmart to improve County Road 130. So that is something, again, no one's presented anything to us, but it's something for the boards to be thinking about. It could happen in the future. Then the development of the Camino Real National Historical Trail. I didn't mention Las Cabras there because the National Park Service has already committed $4.8 million to develop that. I gave you all some documentation on that. And that should start next year in 2014 and be completed by 2016. And the plan there at Las Cabras is to build a visitors area and, in other words, develop the whole site. It's 100 acres, develop into a national park. And work on the roads coming to it and build the road into the site. But the Camino Real de las Tejas, we are on the National Historical Trail. One of the things the National Park Service is asking communities to assist in erecting signs and develop the local history along the trail to make it a more viable trail. This is something that they're working on right now. They've had public hearings throughout the region from San Antonio all the way to Goliad, and they'll continue to have these hearings in the future. But no commitment there yet, but it's something that if the board sees it as a priority to continue working on tourism development, which is an economic development.
Is the Las Cabras, frankly, I hate to admit this, but I've never been out there. How far is it from the river? And is it gonna be in the same shape that the fields are in a few more years?
It's on a hill.
No, not at all. It's on a high ground. You know where the Promised Land area is, the big orange building? I think it's County Road 144 or 140 that goes to the south. Take that dirt road all the way out, maybe go in 1.5 miles, and then you'll see the National Park Service sign that says Rancho de los Cabras. And the site is actually above the river, way above. It goes all the way down to the river, but it's about maybe 200 yards from the river. It hasn't eroded in over, what, 300 or 400 years, and we don't think that it would. But their intent is in the future, in working with the San Antonio River Authority, is to connect the Rancho de las Cabras to the city park. And they're doing work on the river all the way, you know, from, right now we have paddling trails in Sospanco that you can go back up north towards San Antonio, put in a kayak and a canoe, and go all the way up to 1604 on the river. Their intent is to continue working the river all the way to the city park.
That could release some congestion on 181.
Let's move on.
But these are all, nothing's been committed to any of this. This is just food for thought for the board to consider as you're doing your delivery.
Good, that's some things to look at for some priorities as we talked about several times. Any other questions regarding the overview of projects? Thank you, Jesse. We're gonna move to 5, designated registered agents for FEDC. When I was working on the bylaws, one of the things I found is we do need to keep a current active registered agent as a contact person for the state license and all. I sent over a form to Jesse, Word format, interactive, so we could fill that out. Main thing we need to know is who we want to list as our registered agent to file with the Secretary of State. In the past, it was Gary,
City manager.
when he is city manager. And do we want to continue to use the city manager? We'll use Jesse. Do anybody have any recommendations?
Somebody from here.
Or somebody from this?
One of the board.
Or city secretary? It really could be anyone. Who has the longest longevity here, so this won't have to be done and all? Who?
We all serve at the mercy.
I wouldn't recommend that. It really doesn't behoove us or one of us to be it, because we can be gone. I don't know how many years you're planning on being here, till you're 106 or something like that.
I don't know.
Say retirement.
Things change.
Do we want to
fast.
do city secretary? Any thoughts? I just think it should be somebody, so this doesn't have to be done very often. I think it costs $15. Thoughts and pleasures of the board?
Would that not be one of, wouldn't that be maybe one of the duties of the executive director, although he doesn't have any listed duties?
I think the city manager ought to be one.
I would recommend the city manager.
I know they can be gone in a flash too, but.
It was the city manager in the past,
But whoever,
and I think it'd be.
whoever holds the position of city manager.
And we just need to notice that if the city manager changes, this is something that needs to be done.
Right, and we can do that this week, you know.
It's
Don't vote on
really
it.
innocuous to do that. Do I have that in the form of a motion?
So moved.
I second.
So if I could restate the motion then, that we're going to designate Andy Joslin as the registered agent for FEDC. I have a motion by Mr. Ramirez, second, by Mary Helen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
I just have two questions. Does that have to be approved by the city council since you're designating a city employee?
I
No?
don't think so, because that is actually representative for FEDC.
And should your
As a
motion
registered
read,
agent.
and another question, should your motion read the position of city manager to do it rather than Andy Jocelyn, because he could be gone?
Yeah, city manager.
Well,
You gotta name the person.
we gotta name the person, so
City
we
manager.
can't just say city manager in the form. It has to be
Okay.
a designated
Just
individual.
wanted to know. Thank you.
Good question. Moving on to item 6, in the bylaws that we're looking at, it's going to require, and I think there's been discussions about, naming a personnel committee.
Hold on.
We need the digital, we,
I'm telling you.
I don't know what the digital recorder costs at that time.
$40.
The city's looking to buy a system, and they would include us in that and give us,
For $600 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
maybe that's part of the deal.
Where you get this bill on the legal fees?
And you can get a good one for $40. I got one for college, $40. You don't work hours and hours.
That's not a market for that.
Okay, we're moving to repeat, be a little bit possibly redundancy on tape. We're looking at item 6, appoint FED committee for the personnel committee and the budget finance committee. Do I have any, let's start with personnel committee to possibly write job description, employee contract on that. Do I have any volunteers for A?
I will volunteer.
I have Mary Helen,
I'll work with her.
Mary Helen, Mike Harry, and I would like to have the president, David Strozer, on that committee. I think it'd be appropriate to do that. Is there any other nomination? If not, I'm gonna say nomination C. I'd like someone to pose a motion for those three, please.
So moved.
Ram has made the motion to restate that we want a standing committee for the personnel committee be comprised of Mary Helen Teakin, Mike Harry, and David Strozer. All in favor say aye. Oh, second,
Second.
Ray. Thank you. Thank you for that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Now we're going to move on to the Budget and Finance Committee. Do I have any volunteers for that? Jason?
I will volunteer as the chair of the finance committee.
Yeah. Jason Talley.
I'll help him.
I'll help him.
We have Ray. And Ram.
Right.
Is there any other ones that would like to volunteer on that committee? If not, the nominations are closed. Can I have a motion to those three? I have Mike Curry that made the motion, if I can restate for you, that Jason, Ray, and, Ram be appointed on the Budget and Finance Committee, implement comparative budget format, implement guidance, and FEDC bylaws. All in favor? I need a second.
Second.
Mary Helen, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
We can get you in any of the
We're moving so fast.
Please back it for the president.
We'll find another committee.
That's right.
Some things were overlooked on purpose. Ladies. That's all I have on the agenda item. Does anybody like to go home and see the rest of the football game?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion, we adjourn.
Before we, let me mention, Jesse, we need to work on, getting this agenda to the people. I got mine
I
today.
understand, sir.
Mike,
And
supposedly
Mike,
had a problem, you know.
requested you recheck, because the email that I have keeps sending it back, even though I've gotten stuff to you before.
Mike, what's your?
I've got it before, yeah.
Yeah.
And you always mail it.
It came back 4
I
times.
called you today, but I guess you were off this afternoon.
Right. Papa Harry 1,
Papa Harry, H-E-R-R, one,
oh, and not the I, okay.
P-A-P-H-E-R-R,
Yeah.
one, at
And-
gmail.com.
And with you, Mayor, it was, at the end of the day, towards the end of the day, I had to get everything posted, get it out. I put it in the mail, and hoping that it would get you before today. But I have, I don't know if you discussed
What
this or
I've
not.
asked Jesse to do is try to get these minutes out to us ahead of the meeting so that we don't have to spend a whole lot of time.
Yes, the next time, just call me if you can't get through it.
Well, what I'll do in the future is just hand deliver them if I can't get them to you otherwise.
Do you have a fax machine?
No, well, I have to put it on fax, I'll keep it on fax.
I think it was mentioned earlier, if you have a recommendation or request for potential agenda items, you might send that to Mary Helen and Jesse by Wednesday, so that they can look at it, look at what may fit on, if it's going too long. That's probably a prudent thing. I want to remind you, standing committee, if your request is you want to, I would suggest you maybe consider inviting Jesse to attend your standing meeting. Also, those meetings are subject to the Open Meeting Records Act, so you need to take minutes, recordings, and all of those meetings.
So those will be posted.
And you need to, you need to have them posted in advance, so whenever you intend to schedule that, get with Jesse, for your postings as well.
The other thing is that, once you get everybody squared away, Jesse, get everybody a copy of everybody that's on.
Yeah, and
On
I've
board.
just about got it, Mayor. I just got David's email, and then I gotta fix Mike's email. So it's Papa Hare, H-E-R-R 1 @gmail.com. I'll send you a test email.
Okay, because I've gotten before.
Yes, sir, and I understand that.
That's the only one.
And Mayor, once you get online, and
I think, did you correct my mailing address? I told you that.
yes, I did, on the Arrowhead. You
I
did.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
I have a second.
Yes, sir.
All in favor, stand.